Diogwyd agus fáilte go radio telefís an Northern Ireland News.
Hello and welcome to BBC Northern Ireland 32 News.
We are delighted to be taking part in this new venture with our very good friends up in Belfast.
We are also very pleased to be taking part in this experiment with our friends down in Dublin.
We will be bringing you a nightly shared news broadcast so the people on the island of Ireland will have a non-partisan news outlet they can trust.
Thanks to Brexit, we have this new exciting development in world news broadcasting.
Everyone at RTÉ would like to thank the European Union for including this groundbreaking initiative into the final Brexit bill. We hope this experiment in broadcast news can become a template for divided societies across Europe and around the world.
Northern Ireland has led the world in conflict resolution, and again we find ourselves in the vanguard of peace and reconciliation. What have you got for us this evening, Margaret?
Tonight, Seaínín, we thought we'd lead off this historic occasion where hope and history rhyme with a piece from the National Library of Ireland's Seaínín exhibition, Listen Now Again.
That's remarkable, Margaret. We also went with hope and history rhyme inspired by the Northern Irish poet. But our piece is from the Seaínín home place in Belfast, County Londonderry.
That is remarkable, Seaínín. Let's go straight to Dublin to hear how the great man's words can guide us on this historic day.
That went well.
Well, at least we're up and running.
How long is the tape?
1 minute 30. Yours?
Same. Imagine both of us going with two Seaínín exhibitions.
Imagine.
Maybe we should coordinate our news stories next time so we don't overlap.
RTÉ suggested just that, but the BBC wanted editorial control.
It is tricky. I'm sure we'll iron out these issues in the weeks ahead.
What's with claiming Seaínín as being Northern Irish?
Because he is.
Be advised, my passport's green. No glass of ours was ever raised to toast the Queen.
There are no green passports anymore.
You get my point, though.
Under the terms of the Good Friday Agreement, you can be whatever you want. Irish, British, Northern Irish, whatever. You can go back and forth if you like. We were the first national identity fluid place in the world.
I have read the Good Friday Agreement, and it is my understanding that it is up to the individual to decide how they represent themselves, not the British Broadcasting Corporation, or for that matter, the NIO.
Unfortunately, Seaínín is dead, so we can't just ring him up and ask him. And anyway, did he not raise a glass to the British Queen when she came to Dublin Castle?
Yes, he did, and he wasn't the only one. I was there reporting on it. Did you know that Heaney's first passport was actually British?
No way.
He got it to go to Lourdes.
Is that common knowledge?
It's not like it's the third secret of Fatima. Oh, we are back in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Interesting to see both Heaney exhibitions quote the hope and history rhyme for us today.
And a beautiful reading by Barry McGovern.
And hats off to our very own Adrian Dunbar for his reading in Belfast.
Indeed.
The government today refused a request for a public inquiry by the opposition over complaints that 73% of all contracts approved for protective equipment during the pandemic went to companies with no competitive tendering.
A £90 million PPE contract has been awarded to a firm listed in a Chinese hotel room. £15 million went to an offshore finance company which had no history in medical equipment. The Serco track and trace system is still not functioning properly after more than £20 billion has been spent on it to date. The accusations of cronyism continue to grow.
The British Medical Association has also called for a public inquiry into the government's handling of the coronavirus outbreak, and in particular, to scrutinise the role of outsourcing contracts. The government insists it is not in the public's interest to hold a public inquiry.
Before we go to our report in London, I would like to clarify that this outcry for a public inquiry is into the British government's handling of the pandemic.
Thank you, Margaret. Here's our report from the British Houses of Parliament in London, England. 3.5 minutes.
I hope you didn't think I was being rude there.
Not at all.
It's just, I think it's important that viewers know exactly what government we are talking about. We need to be precise so that we can earn the viewers' trust.
I have that old colonial hangover too.
It's nothing to do with being colonized. It's to do with the truth. We have 3 different governments to report on. The NI Assembly in Belfast, Dáil Éireann in Dublin and Westminster in London, and all deserve parity of esteem. That is the point of the shared news programme.
I know, I get it. I signed up for this project. I believe in it. We have to create a space in the centre for informed and truthful news, or the centre will not hold, and the lunatics on the fringes will win.
Who decides where the centre is?
We do, it's simple. We just decide where the centre is in regards to our conscience.
Our conscience? That's very Catholic of you.
That's Catholic with a small c. It means universal.
Do you ever worry that we are part of the problem?
In what way?
Well, let's say that we are the centre.
Okay.
Well, what would you say the governments we report on are?
Centre-right or right-wing? Sinn Féin and the Greens are the only centre-left or left-wing parties with any power. And even that
the
is very
Greens,
limited.
centre-left. They're centre-right with bicycles.
What's your point?
I'm worried this broadcasting experiment is just news washing.
News washing?
Yes, like sports washing, where any dodgy power uses sports to launder their reputation and miserable record on human rights.
I just don't agree that that is what is happening here. This is an important initiative in news broadcasting. All the different groups in Europe will be watching us to see how this develops. It could be a game changer.
Maybe I've become too cynical.
Think about it though. A Flemish Walloons news that the people of Belgium trusted, or a shared news outlet for Serbia, Albania and Kosovo, or a Macedonia, North Macedonia, Greece news outlet. It could help with peace and reconciliation.
Who set this whole thing up and who pays for most of it?
The EU.
And what would you say is the political makeup of the EU?
Centre to centre-right.
Therefore, in reality, we are a centre to centre-right news broadcast.
The EU doesn't control our output.
Doesn't have to. It knows we can be relied upon to present a centrist right-wing interpretation of the day's events, because that's what both of our organisations have always done. Because we are presenting together, we might be a bit more aware of each other's sensibilities, so hopefully it will result in a more thoughtful broadcast.
And is that not a good thing?
Well, of course it is. It was one of the reasons I signed up for the job.
So what's with the news washing?
Well, I worried that this shiny, happy people, hands across the barricade stuff, and we do it and nothing changes. And the centre-right holds on to power. And maybe the centre-left gets in for a bit and things get a little kinder, but ultimately nothing changes all that much.
Is it not important, though, that the centre holds?
Yeah, that's the big question.
And we're back in 5, 4, 3, 2.
A very interesting report into the corruption at the heart of the British government. We turn our attention now to Brussels, where our European correspondent, Tony Connolly, has compiled a report on the distribution process of vaccines that will hopefully change all our lives forever. This segment's 2 minutes.
That was a bit strong. Should it not have been alleged corruption?
Do you think there is corruption?
Of course, it's rotten. Profiteering during a pandemic is immoral.
Well then.
We're not meant to speculate.
They can sue me if they like, and they won't, because they know in a court of law all the information that they are withholding from the British public will have to be released. And it will reveal how venal and corrupt they actually are. This is a government that says withholding a public inquiry isn't in the public's interest.
What about corruption in the Dublin government?
Oh, what about RHI? There is corruption everywhere.
So why don't you report on it?
Oh, we try our best, but our libel laws are insane. Even a national broadcaster like RTÉ won't go after the main players.
That can't be right.
Oh, that's the status quo. How does the centre look like now?
It seems to be holding quite well.
Are the people in the north taking the vaccines?
The majority are. People want their lives back.
Same down here. There are, of course, the usual nut jobs, but every country has those. We just need to deny them a voice.
Censorship on RTÉ.
Oh, that wouldn't be the first time. We are back in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Thank you for that report, Tony. I hope that gives everybody a little bit of hope for the future.
We turn now to sport, where Leinster are leading the way in rugby's Pro 14.
Meanwhile, Ulster continue to make Ravenhill a fortress. We hear from both camps.
Our segment is 2 minutes.
So is ours.
What are you running for your last piece?
We have a nice piece about the Euro Millions jackpot winner in Donegal.
Oh, we've covered that too. I would have thought that was our jurisdiction.
Donegal is the most northerly county in Ireland.
I'm well aware of that fact, but it's also the most northerly county in Ireland that happens to be in the Republic of Ireland.
Donegal is in Ulster.
So?
We live in a Northern Irish Ulster, 9 and 6 counties. It is written that way in the Good Friday Agreement, nearly in stone.
Do you not get weary of the constant identity cultural bickering?
Do you not?
Of course I do, but up north, it's relentless.
We're very good at it.
It's not something to be proud of.
We take our plaudits wherever we can.
I suppose so. I mean, our politicians boast about our poets and writers, and at the same time, we have some of the worst arts funding in Europe.
Ours is even worse.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought that was possible.
The arts are considered a luxury rather than a necessity up north.
How long is your lotto winner piece?
A minute.
Same here. Why don't we just run yours and then we can fill in a bit at the end?
That's very generous of you.
No problem.
Why don't you introduce it then?
Okay. And maybe we can have a chat about the stories we're covering tomorrow so we don't overlap so much.
Sounds like a plan. And we are back in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And finally, we catch up with the Donegal family who won the jackpot in the Euro Millions lottery. The McGuinness family from outside Buncrana have children in Australia, New Zealand, the United States, Canada, and Scotland. They plan a big family reunion once restrictions are lifted.
That will be some party.
Let's hear it from the McGuinnesses.
Oh, must be awful having your children scattered all over the world.
Oh, there's no work in Donegal. The emigration of our children is the Irish solution to every economic crisis we've ever had.
It's heartbreaking.
It feels worse this time.
Everything feels worse.
Yet we go on.
We do. I think that went well tonight.
It certainly could have been worse.
It's a pity we can't celebrate.
We can have a virtual glass of wine later.
It's a date. And we are back in 5, 4, 3, 2.
What an uplifting story from Donegal. I think we can all join the McGuinnesses in the hope that they get that family reunion very soon. Before we go, Seaínín, what have you got lined up for us tomorrow?
We have a special report on the centenary of the founding of the state of Northern Ireland.
Lovely. And we have an historical perspective on the sectarian headcount that took place 100 years ago that led to the creation of the British land border in Ireland.
I look forward to that, Margaret. So that's time up on our very first ever joint BBC NI 32 RTÉ NI news broadcast. I'd like to thank you all for joining us.
And I hope you can join us again at 9:30 tomorrow night.
So it's good night from Belfast.
Agus Ihawa from I'm sorry, in the excitement of the moment. And it's Ihawa from Dublin. Ihawa.